Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Today's next topic is our adaptations in plants. And we have first, plants have been divided into different types. There is one type that is called as hydrophytes. Hydrophytes are the plants which grow in water. Or their habitat is water. They are called as the hydrophytes. Now these hydrophytes have been divided into different types. There is one part that is called as free floating hydrophytes. Free floating hydrophytes. These have no roots and they float on the surface of water. There is one, that is Eucornia. These float, they have the roots, but this has the roots, but it floats on the surface of water. There is a fern that is called as Salvinia. There is another lamina. It has also ill-developed roots. There is another Wolffia, the smallest angiosperm. Another fern is there, that is Azolla. Another type of hydrophytes is rooted hydrophytes. With floating leaves. The leaves are floating on the surface of water. इनके leaves जो हैं वो float कर रहे हैं surface of water पे, लेकिन उनके roots हैं, they are anchored. There is one that is called as trapa. You know it. संगाड़े जिनको बोलते हैं उर्दू में, कशिर पठ वनान गाड़ गोजियम कुन्यासन, वो उनको बोलते हैं ट्रापा. There is one nymphaea and another is Nulumbo. You know it, lotus. Nulumbo. There is another type that is called as submerged floating hydrophytes. Submerged floating hydrophytes. These are inside the water, but they are floating. There is Ceratophyllum, Utricularia. Another type is there, that is submerged rooted hydrophytes. Submerged rooted hydrophytes. These plants are inside the water, but they have roots. There is one common that is called as Hydrilla. Hydrilla एक plant है. Streams में आपने देखा होगा. There is Vallisneria. Vallisneria is another. Potamogeton और एक है. Potamogeton. There is another type that is called as rooted emergent plants, or they are also called as amphibian angiosperms. Amphibian plants. They are partially inside the water and they are partially outside the water. Typha, Sagittaria. मैंने आपको बताया था, दिस Sagittaria जो है, it has the leaves like this. It has two types of leaves. जो वाटर के अंदर हैं वो ऐसे हैं लीव्स, लेकिन हाँ जो वाटर से बाहर है वो ऐसे हैं. इट इज पार्शियली इन वाटर. टाइफा जो है आपको पता है, दिस इज लाइक दिस इज इन स्प्रिंग्स में होता है ये. और स्मॉल स्ट्रीम्स जो होते हैं और फील्ड्स में, राइस फील्ड्स में जो स्ट्रीम्स होते हैं उसमें प्लांट होता है, दैट इज कॉल्ड है टाइफा. उससे कश्मीरी पहले पहले मैट्स बनाते थे, हाँ, तो उसको बोलते हैं टाइफा. एंड hydrophytes have the mucilage. Mucilage protects the plants from pathogens, from desiccation, and from epiphytic growth. This mucilage protects the plants inside the water from epiphytic growth. That means other plants cannot grow on the plant, pathogens and desiccation. And in some cases the roots are absent. Roots are absent, like Wolffia and Utricularia. They do not need the roots. There are root pockets instead of root caps. Root caps have been replaced by root pockets. They help in the balancing inside the water. The mechanical tissue is absent in case of hydrophytes. Xylem is poorly developed. They need less transport of water because they live inside the water, so they have less developed xylem. Parenchyma is a parenchyma tissue that has large intracellular spaces that stores the air, and this is light. It is spongy, it is flexible, and it helps in floating. There is inflated organs. Inflated organs like leaves, they are broad in floating forms. In submerged forms, leaves are small, they are ribbon shaped, or they are linear, or they are dissected in order to resist the water currents, that they may not get damaged by water currents. Floating leaves are epistomatic. That means stomata are found on the upper surface. That is epistomatic. And lastly, there is heterophily. As I earlier said, heterophily means more than one type, two or more types of leaves on the same plant. Types of leaves on same plant. Two or more types of leaves on the same plant. Two or more than two types of leaves on the same plant, that is called as the heterophily. Now, there are mostly two types of leaves, as I earlier said. There is a plant that is called as Sagittaria. Sagittaria. This Sagittaria has two types of leaves. One type of leaf is inside the water, one type of leaf is outside the water. There is Ranunculus equatilis. Ranunculus equatilis. Ranunculus equatilis. It has also two types of leaves. Another type of plants is the xerophytes. That means the plants growing in harsh, dry climate conditions, dry regions, or xeric regions, or deserts. These are called as xerophytes. Now, in order to prevent the loss of water, these also show number of adaptations. They have usually the short lifespan. They are also called as ephemerals. Or draft. They are draft escapers. These plants grow as there is rainy season, and in few weeks or 1 or 2 months they grow, they flower, they produce the seeds and undergo dormancy. That means their lifespan is very short in order to avoid loss of water. And there is one that is called as Euphorbia. Euphorbia prostrata. There is another one that is called as Tribulus or Jamun और एक है Tribulus और एक है. There is extensive root system. Extensive root system. In order to obtain the water from very deep in the soil, because there is water scarcity, in order to obtain water from the deep soils, they have extensive root system, and the roots may sometimes go up to water table. That means they have more roots than the shoots. These are the non-succulent xerophytes, perennial xerophytes, and these are sometimes also called as drought endurers. And there is one that is called as Tamarix prosopis, another plant. And these plants, as I earlier said, that these penetrate the roots up to the water table, and they are technically called as pteridophytes. Pteridophytes are those plants, xerophytes, which penetrate their roots up to water table in order to find their water. There is another one that is apigeal growth. Apigeal growth. Here the shoot system is smaller than the root system. Shoot system is smaller than root system. It is said to be apigeal growth. Now this next one is that Scythian is woody. It is hard and it is with thick bark and cuticle. Thick bark and cuticle. And there is another, they have reduced leaves into supinous. Same is the case as you know it. This is Opuntia and Euphorbia species. These have needle-shaped leaves or supinous in order to reduce the water, and they may have fleshy stem, fleshy stems. That is, you know, that is called as the phylloclades or cladodes. These are adaptations of the xerophytes. Besides, there are succulents or drought resistant. Succulents or drought resistant. These have succulent tissue. That is, they can store water during rainy season and then slowly use. they have fleshy organs, they have fleshy organs. These fleshy leaves, if they have fleshy leaves, this is said to be chlorophyll. There is a plant that is called as aloe, you know it, aloe vera and agave. Aloe vera and agave, they have fleshy leaves, that is called as chlorophyll. If they have fleshy roots, that is technically called as chylorhizae. Chylorhizae, it is found in asparagus. These leaves or these roots or these stems जो हैं, they have succulent tissue which can store the water and which is later on utilized by the plant slowly. And there is another that is fleshy, as I said that there is fleshy stems. This one, phylloclade and cladodes, that is called as chylocoli. It is, you know, it is Opuntia or others. This is fleshy stems, chylocali, fleshy roots, chylorhizae, fleshy leaves, chylophyll. And there is another sunken stomata, you know it. Sunken stomata, that means the stomata which prevent the loss of water. And they produce the heat shock proteins. They are called as chaperonins. These protect the other proteins from denaturation. Chaperonins protect the other proteins from denaturation. And there is one that is called as CAM pathway, crassulacean acid metabolism. Now it is a sort of photosynthetic pathway. Photosynthesis एक टाइप का है ये crassulacean acid metabolism, जिसमें ज्यादा एसिड्स बनते हैं in order to prevent the loss of water. उसको बोलते हैं CAM pathway. And there is palisade parenchyma in leaves. Palisade parenchyma जो leaves में होता है वो abundant होता है, that is more developed, and spongy parenchyma जो है that is absent. Spongy parenchyma is less or absent. And there is another that is called as the accumulation of amino acid. Accumulation of amino acid proline amino acid accumulate होता है in the cells in order to maintain the osmotic or water potential. That means osmoregulation में ये help करता है जब cells क्या करते हैं, amino acid proline accumulate करते हैं. हाँ, तो उसको बोलते हैं हम that helps in osmotic concentration or water potential.